Mr. James. Mr. Eugene. Mr. Thomas Henry Gaston. Last but not least, my brother in arms, Anthony Hagney. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, nerds and nerdettes. Welcome, finally, back to Nerd Corner. And it's going to be a little bit of a different Nerd Corner. Yes, we are going to talk about some nerdy things, but as of filming this, it won't be in the morning, but as of filming this, it is Veterans Day. And the intro there, I showed you guys a few faces. Some of my wife's family and some of my family. All of them not with us anymore. But happy Veterans Day to all you veterans out there. Thank you for everything you've done. And folks, for those of you not in the service or not a veteran, thank your local veterans. They will appreciate it. Just give them a salute. Don't shake their hands, because of the situation. But, just say thank you. Or ask them how their day is. It'll make their day. So the names. James and Eugene. That was my wife's cousin and grandpa. Both Army. One obviously significantly older than the other, but they are both no longer with us. The third one was my grandfather who raised me, Thomas Gaston, just like with my wife's grandfather, World War II vet. Both of those gentlemen were born in the 20s. They had a lot of stories to tell. And then the fourth individual was a young man who I very, very much... What's that word? Enjoy. I enjoy it. It makes me feel good. He's my brother. He was my brother. He was my cousin, but he was my brother. So yeah, I had a brain fart right there, a word puke, but I don't think I'm going to edit this one, guys, because this holiday, even if it's not, like Christmas or Easter or anything like that, this holiday means a lot to me because I have a lot of friends and a lot of family out there who are and were military, and they deserve respect. Shout out to my cousin Max, too, if he is watching this. Haven't seen him in a while. He was a Marine. I am going to toast today, with my little pinky up drink, to the good folks and veterans of the United States military service. Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force, doesn't matter. You're all doing a fine job. And this is not an American bourbon. It is a Canadian bourbon. But here's to you, folks. That is tasty. Yes, it was not a big shot, but I don't do that anymore, folks. That is quite rough. So anyway, guys, today I'm going to teach you about and maybe how to play, or at least the basics of Magic the Gathering. And I'm going to show you my most hated deck and explain why it's that so. Alright, guys. Here we are. Now I've got the setup, and now I can show you guys the basics of Magic the Gathering. More specifically, the type of play that I do. So there's a bunch of different formats in Magic the Gathering. You have your standard play, in which you build a 60 card deck, and you have 20 life. Each player has 20 life, and the first one to get to 0 loses. In Commander, you have 40 life, and you have one legendary creature who acts as your commander outside of your deck. And then you have 99 other cards, a combination of lands, enchantments, creatures, artifacts, sorceries, instants, and planeswalkers to play onto the battlefield, but they all have to match, all the card colors have to match the identity of your commander. So, this specific commander is, I don't know if you guys can see it very good. This camera's not the greatest. Better than my phone was, but not the greatest. It is a green, a white, a blue, and a black. Don't know if it'll focus in on it, guys, but maybe you can see it. And this is the name of the creature, or the card. This is Atraxa, Praetor's Voice. Right here will be the creature type. So this will be card type, and this will be creature type. So this is a legendary creature, Angel Horror. And this is why people do not like this card. It's a 4/4, so the first number right here is the power. This is what gives the damage. So if this creature was to attack, she would deal 4 damage. The toughness is the second number right here. So she has a toughness of 4, so she's a 4/4. So if you were to take this 4 here to a 0 with a bigger creature, she would die. But a commander doesn't die permanently. She would go back to the command zone. So your deck would be on this side of you if you're, left-handed or right-handed. And then she would go back to the command zone. And then if you cast her a second time, you would have to play 2 more mana on top of her color scheme for the tax. And the reason she is so hated, flying, vigilance, so of course flying, that's pretty self-explanatory. Vigilance means that when she attacks, she doesn't have to tap. When a creature, or anything really, like an artifact to tap for mana, is used, that little symbol right there means to tap it. And so that means once you tap it, you can't use it again until your next turn, when you have your untap phase. So this creature does not tap when she attacks, essentially being a blocker every turn. The next thing is Death Touch. So any creature that is not indestructible, regardless of how big it is and whether they kill her or not, will also die. So, very, very powerful card. And she also has Lifelink. So when she deals any damage, combat damage, period, you gain 4 life. If she is still 4, unless you have her buffed up with something to make her bigger. But that's Lifelink. And so for this deck, this is called a Super Friends deck. So it's a Planeswalker deck. At the beginning of your end step, proliferate. So after you've done everything and you go to your end step, proliferate means you get to add a 1/1 counter to any creature on the board, yours or an opponent's or an ally, and give them another 1/1 token. The same goes for Planeswalkers. So here are some of the Planeswalkers that make this deck so dangerous. As you can see, this is blue and white, which are in her color code. This is Venser. He is a blue-white Planeswalker. That's an Azorius. He starts off with 3. I forgot what those were called. But he has 3 tokens, and then if you +2 him, you can exile a target permanent you own and return it to the battlefield under your control next time. That's pretty handy for keeping Atraxa alive, so if she blocks, you can exile her and return her to the battlefield at the end of your end step, sparing you the casting cost. The -1 makes creatures unblockable, which is obviously handy. And then if you manage to get this loyalty counters, that's it guys, loyalty counters. If you manage to get his loyalty counters all the way up to 8, you get an emblem permanently that says whenever you cast any spell, you can exile a target permanent. So if Venser goes off, which is easy with Proliferate, because if you +2, he's automatically a 5. Then at the end of that end step, he becomes a 6. So essentially in 2 turns after casting Venser, he can go off. And then every time after that that you cast a spell, you can just exile everybody's things, and man, it gets so much hate. Understandably. The other one, same color, Narset Transcendence. So her +1 allows you to look at the top card of your library, and if it's a non-creature or non-land card, you can reveal it and put it into your hand, so essentially getting card advantage. And then if you get her up to 9, which she starts with 6 loyalty, you get an emblem that says your opponents cannot cast creature spells. So that essentially shuts them out of the game, at least as far as casting creatures are concerned. So very powerful card if it goes off. And then the last one I'll show you of my Planeswalkers is Tamiyo Field Researcher. She is a 1 colorless, a green, a white, and a blue. She's got 4 loyalty, and her final is a -7. You get to draw 3 cards, and then you get an emblem with you may cast non-land cards from your hand without paying their mana cost. So this lets you cast things for free should you be able to pull off her ultimate move, which is just crazy. It's just like the card Omniscience, which is blue, except it's a far less costing card and harder to get rid of in a deck like this, honestly. And then you have Sorceries and Instants, which just allow you to do specific things. This is a black one called Grim Tutor. Tutor cards allow you to search your library for specific cards. This one here specifically allows you to search for any card and put it into your hand and then shuffle your library. You lose 3 life. So it is a black mana card. 1 and 2 black. So typically with tutors like this, you do have the lose life, but you can gain it back with Atraxa's lifelink. So very handy, like especially if, you know, in a 100 card deck you can't get to your Planeswalkers. This will allow that to happen. And then you have Instants, which you can play. Sorceries you can play on your turn only. Instant you can play at any point in the game. So these 2 cards here, this one is Swords to Plowshares. It costs a single white. Allows you to remove a creature from the game entirely. And then its controller gains life equal to its power. So yes, they do gain life, but you essentially get to remove a powerful creature from the game. So very, very important card. And then you have Anguished Unmaking, which costs 1, a white, and a black. It's an instant. Exile target non-land permanent. You lose 3 life. So yes, you lose 3 life, but that could be life or death. If somebody's swinging at you with their commander who may be really large, it could be game over for you. But if you have this card and 3 open mana, 1 white, 1 black, and 1 colorless, you cast this, you're no longer taking that maybe, you know, damage to enough to kill you. And then, moving on to enchantment spells, can only be played on your turn as well. We have 2 white ones here and a green one, so these are for protection. This one is called Norn's Annex, and this is a special kind of mana. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's called Phyrexian mana. That means you can pay a white
or 2 white rather, and 3 colorless, or you can opt to pay 2 life for each of these symbols to get this card down a little quicker. So essentially these 2 cards here, and they both cost the same amount, except you don't pay life for this card. These make it to where opponents have to pay mana to be able to attack you with each creature. So, pretty good cards here, guys. There are more like this, but these are the main 2 in the color of white. And then, of course, Doubling Season. This one here is not the real card, guys. This is a proxy, unfortunately. It's a very powerful, very expensive card that I just don't have the funds for yet. It costs 4 colorless and 1 green. It's an enchantment. And it reads, if an effect would put 1 or more tokens into play under your control, it puts twice that many instead. So, say if you +1 your Planeswalker, or give Atraxa a +1 counter, you instead get to put 2. Same with creature tokens. So if you get to put creature tokens out, say you had a creature or a Planeswalker that produced a 1/1 white soldier creature, you get to put 2 of those. So, pretty overpowered card, guys. This, if I don't have protection down, this gets destroyed pretty quickly. And then you have artifacts. So these artifacts in particular, there are a bunch of them. These are just mana producing artifacts. These are just the easiest ones to show you guys, and all artifacts kind of act in the same way. They tap or enter the battlefield to cause something to happen. This one is called Arcane Signet. It costs 2 colorless, and you can tap it to add any 1 mana of any color that's in your commander's color identity. So in this case, green, white, blue, or black. Pretty easy peasy. This one does the same thing. It's the same casting cost, and it's called Golgari Signet. It's called that because of the colors, black and green. That's the clan in the lore. You can pay 1 colorless mana to tap this to add both of those colors at the same time. Essentially, getting your commander or any bigger creature out, or spell, quicker. And, you know, it's one of those things, guys. Like, I can explain this all day. It's a really fun game. I suggest giving it a try. You don't have to go out and buy a deck right away, guys. I'm sure if there's people that you know that play Magic, they would be more than happy to let you test out one of their decks. I've got like 8 or 9 myself. My wife has 6, and all of my friends have multiple decks. We share and share alike. We play each other's decks all the time. So here's some of my lands. This one here is called Gravepelt Refuge. It produces white and green, but when it enters the battlefield, you can't use it right away. It enters tapped because dual lands are pretty powerful. Being able to cast one of each color is pretty powerful, guys. So this one comes in tapped, but because it comes in tapped, you're able to gain 1 life. So you put this one down and you gain 1 life. And then on your next turn, you would play something like this card, Azorius Chancery. Of course, it enters tapped, and when you play it, you have to pick another land up. But this one produces, it taps to produce a blue and a white, but it's not white or blue, it's white and blue. So this produces 2 mana at the same time. So, once again, pretty powerful, guys. So when you play this, you would pick up one of these lands, which is called a bounce land. That's the lingo. And then you would put this back into your hand, and then on your next turn, you could play it again and gain another life, and then this one would be untapped, and you would have to still have 2 mana at your disposal. And then I just have a bunch of really awesome art lands So this is just a basic plains. This produces a white mana. And of course I've got green, blue, and black, just like this, in my deck. And this is one of those lands that don't come in tapped. It taps to add a single colorless mana, or you can tap to add a white or a black, but it deals damage to you, 1 damage, in return. So essentially making it a little more powerful than the others because it doesn't come in tapped. So you can play a white or a black mana immediately. But like I said, with this deck, guys, it don't really matter because with Atraxa, you can just gain that life back immediately. Like, you could start swinging the very next turn unless you play the artifact Swiftfoot boots or the other boots that make her hexproof and have haste. So haste means that when she comes onto the board, or if a creature has haste and it comes onto the table or board, it can immediately attack. And that's a powerful card, both of them, because you don't have to pay to equip it. They are both a 0 equip cost, and she could just hit the ground running and swing immediately. Of course she doesn't tap. But that's pretty much the basics, guys. Like I said, just get in there, find you a deck. If you prefer to build one or to buy one, because there are a lot of pretty decent decks that are pre-con already, guys, go get you one and just practice. That's all I can say. There's really not much to it, guys. It does take some learning to get good, but it is a very enjoyable game. One of my favorite pastimes besides lifting weights and drawing and playing guitar, but I spend a lot of time with my wife and friends playing Magic the Gathering every chance we get, especially, in this time of not being able to go do much else. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this little video here about Magic the Gathering and also Veterans Day. Once again, happy Veterans Day, guys. If you did, you guys know what to do. Please smash that like button, and please, guys, subscribe. During the next Monday Motivation, I will be doing another Veterans Day special. I'll be doing the Murph, and I'll explain what that is to you guys next week when I do it. But until then, guys, stay nerdy, stay strong, stay motivated, and I'll see you guys next time.